My sis is an artist. She had a client she really liked, did some good portraiture work on. The client was out at dinner one night, when she suddenly got a headache, and died on the spot from a brain aneurysm, leaving behind her young son. My sister did a charity event to raise money for her family and tattooed dozens of red balloons in her memory. I'm still really proud of her for doing that. My partner pro bono's tattooed nipples on women's reconstructed breasts. She is a cosmetic tattooist and post-operative breast cancer patients are referred to her. 18. They often cry when they see themselves after the procedure. They say it is feeling whole again after so much trauma. My SIL got a tattoo of an owl, and had my brother's ashes mixed with ink for the owl's eyes. My brother had very vibrant and striking blue eyes, and the owl has the same shade of blue eyes. XGF is a tattoo artist. She came home way late from work one night. 18. Two British dudes, drunk off their ass, came into the shop a few minutes before the shop was going to close. They wanted to get tattooed right then, right there. My ex, she wasn't really having it, until they explained the situation. They were in the States, doing a cross-country road trip that they had been planning for years. There was another buddy that was going to be with them, but he passed away a few months beforehand. 18. So they wanted to get a poorly done tattoo of his face, because all of the dead buddies' tattoos were really bad, on each of their arse cheeks. So when they went to all these places that they had planned to see, they could show him. Well, the ex popped open some whiskey, threw on some metal, and started getting to it. The dudes were apparently utterly hilarious, and had everyone in tears from laughter the entire time. One of the tattoos she's most proud of, but the fact that it's so poorly done on purpose, she can't really have it in her book. When my little brother died, I asked my tattoo artist for a memorial tattoo for him, a calico cat, me, and an angelic corgi, him. Corgis were his favorite thing in the entire world, playing around an anchor. He was in the Navy for years. It was personal to me, and he did a lovely job. We both cried when he finished, and I was checking it out in the mirror, and he gave me a really big hug. My father-in-law had ashes from his dog put into the ink of his memorial tattoo. The artist is a member of the family, so they were able to accommodate his request. My best friend is a tattoo artist, and a client walked in. He asked for a tattoo of his daughter's scar in the same area so his daughter won't be self-conscious about it. Throughout the appointment, he talked about his daughter, and how proud he was of her. Not a tattoo artist, but my father-in-law was tragically taken from us. He was run over by a speeding motorcycle. Our family was torn apart. The shit responsible was wealthy, well-connected, and didn't even get a ticket/suspended license/asked to take a defensive course. Never acknowledged/apologized. My father-in-law was an amazing and somewhat known artist. While going through his studio, we found a sketch of the angel Gabriel, our son's name. My wife now has that exact sketch fit scale on her back. It is a beautiful homage, and allows us to keep his memory with us. My mother-in-law is spending the weekend with us. They raised their families, and this was supposed to be their time together. Fuck people who walk through the world that way. Please slow down, everyone, and enjoy the times you have with your loved ones. Not a tattoo artist myself, but a friend told me of a guy who wanted to be tattooed in his own blood of a girl, kind of like this, https://www. com/culture/tattooed in my own blood. Link to the past. It was the first time a client had requested for something like that, and he was confused. Curious, he asked him more. Turned out, she was a cam girl, and they were in a long-distance relationship virtually. It was after almost 5 years he came to know she had passed away from a freak accident. And they never got to meet each other, sadly. Edit asterisk, saddest part, she was fired after the company found out she connected with a client outside the platform. That led her to a different hazardous job, in some factory, which was riskier, where she died of the accident. Can't remember the whole story, but it was really heart-wrenching and made me teary. Can't imagine how fucking hard it had been for that guy after they lost contact. Then he came to know of her death. Fucking heartbreaking. He was partly responsible for her death too. 5 years ago I lost my dog, Snoopy, who was my best friend for almost 17 years. Here, http:// imager com/r/1 jpg is the very first picture of us together, and here, http:// imager com/gm9myo jpg is the last a couple of days before he passed. As you can probably tell from those pictures, he meant so much to me, so it was a very painful loss. One night shortly after he died I got drunk, and decided I wanted a tattoo of a caricature of him to remember him by. I asked my room/best human friend to draw it on my right forearm, since I am right-handed, and it was hard for me to do. Well, it was even harder to try and tattoo myself with my non-dominant hand, and the result was a very sloppy tattoo. https:// imager com/caro7rw jpg. Even though it looks so bad, it's my most cherished tattoo, because it's such a raw expression of emotion. Whenever I miss him I look down at that goofy face on my arm, and remember all the happiness that he brought me, and all the great memories we made together. I've considered getting it professionally touched up, but I would want it to be exactly the same, just bolder, because it means so much to me just the way it is. I'm hoping if I do the artist can appreciate that, and not think it's weird or something. I'm not an artist, but I love everything about tattooing. I call it my ink therapy. I just want to share this with you because it's my favorite tat, even though it's so simple. I have an old school style diamond with purple banner across it on my right chest bearing the name Lurleen, about the size of an average adult fist. Lurleen was my adopted grandmother on the mother side. Her daughter that adopted me had been a foster mother named Donna. Lurleen was a Southern Belle type from a small town, think single gravel road alongside a railroad track, in rural southern Illinois. When she met Roy Friday White, he said, "Stick with me, babe, and I'll give you diamonds the size of road apples. It will be quite simple for me to force him to remove his coat," bragged the wind. The wind blew so hard, the birds clung to the trees. The world was filled with dust and leaves. But the harder the wind blew down the road, the tighter the shivering man clung to his coat. Then, the sun came out from behind a cloud. Sun warmed the air and the frosty ground. The man on the road unbuttoned his coat. The sun grew slowly brighter and brighter. Soon the man felt so hot, he took off his coat and sat down in a shady spot. She married Roy and bore him 2 daughters, Donna and Sharon. 18. It turned out Roy had a bit of a gambling problem, and Lurleen's last straw was when Roy pawned her wedding ring for gambling money. She left him and took her daughters and moved back to her small town in rural Illinois. Now she did this in the 1950s, and that was a time when you did not leave your husband at all. She raised her daughters alone, never remarried, and eventually her daughter Donna became a teacher, then a foster parent, and later adopted me. Roy moved to Las Vegas and worked for Bugsy Siegel himself, wore expensive, brightly colored leisure suits, and was known to have a 17 handicap in golf. Eventually Lurleen retired, and as she grew older, she eventually moved in with Mom, and was quite the wicked awesome little old lady. She eventually passed of plain old age just after her 98th birthday. I took it rather hard, as she was the only grandmother I had ever known. so I dealt with it in the best way I knew how. I got a tattoo. I got her a diamond the size of a road apple. Not an artist, but I have several tattoos. The one that means the most to me is 3 X's on my ankle. When I did my driving tests, I failed a few times due to failure anxiety. One day my father decided to write me a note, telling me he believed in me, that I shouldn't let it get to my head, and that I should look at it as if it was a driving lesson, not a test. He'd be in a meeting afterwards, so I should text him my results. He closed the letter with 3 kisses, XXX. Now I'm highly superstitious, so I put that note in my pocket, and went on to my driving test. And I passed. From that moment on, every time something important was about to happen, I'd put that note in my pocket. Unfortunately, it went through the washing machine, and I lost the note, but I had a photo of it in my phone. I reckoned I was less likely to lose my ankle than a piece of paper, so I got the 3 X's tattooed in my ankle in honor of my dad. And AMP, #X200B. He's still alive, but it's my most valuable tattoo. Guy came in, he had 1 leg, so I thought he was interesting. He wanted a tattoo on his hand and asked if it was okay to tattoo it since he had recently broken his hand. I said it was fine as long as it was healed up. I asked out of curiosity how he broke his hand, and he said I punched my dog. I got him to fill out the form with his name and address, and asked casually where the dog was, and he just said gone now. Told him I was sorry that I couldn't do his tattoo, and then turned his shit into the cops. I should have just taken his other leg. Fucker. Sadly, I'm yet another non-tattoo artist, but one of my favorite coworkers had medical problems as a young child and AMP ended up adopting a cat sharing the same problems. I don't remember the name, sorry, but it was heart-related. The cat grew up with her and AMP died about 2 years ago, so she got a cat chasing a bell, their favorite toy, with a heart to the side saying you can't stop me. It made me very sad, and AMP, it was a very pretty tattoo. Not a tattoo artist, but my partner is. One of his clients committed suicide just after lockdown. A month before she died, he'd done a beautiful chest piece for her. Her uncle recently got in touch, and is wanting the same piece. RIP_X. Not a tattoo artist, but I heard a story of someone who was getting a butterfly tattoo on his wrist picture, but had this tattoo on it, and one of them in the same place. Big dude, he had like tattoos all over his body, so the tattoo artist was a little confused as to why he was getting a small butterfly on his wrist. When asked about it, he got all defensive, and just said just do it afterwards. While he was paying, he broke down, and told the tattoo artist that this was the last tattoo his daughter had gotten with him before she died in a car crash. Not an artist, but this is a very personal story. In 2015 I got Destiny, the Taken King, and met 5 people to do a raid, 4 of whom I still play with today. The 5th was named Daniel. He played Titan class, and was the best sniper I've ever seen. But he was also a really, really nice kid. He always encouraged everybody and hyped us up. But in 2017 he died to cancer. And I'd never get to tell him how much I appreciated him. He played the solar subclass, which if you don't play, means you get a small flaming hammer, much like Thor's, to throw at people and cause havoc. Well, our other Titan Kyle also played the subclass. So, as a memorial to Daniel, and his favorite class, he got a tattoo of the flaming hammer on his arm. Something simple and sweet, with a huge meaning. When I was a teenager, I was in a children's choir that often got asked to sing with our city's Philharmonic Orchestra for large symphonies and stuff. In 2013, we had the privilege of being part of the premiere of the Afghanistan Requiem, composed by Jeffrey Ryan. The Requiem has a movement that only the children sing called Lux Aeterna, and it consisted of various bird calls and names. Lux aeterna is Latin for light eternal, and the movement represents how the soldiers would find small moments of happiness in listening to the birds call each other. Having the children sing such a movement further signifies how children, and small moments of joy, can be a constant source of light in one's life even in the most dire circumstances. I thought that was an amazing message, so I have a tattoo the word Lux, which means light, along with some birds to remind me to always try to find something good to look to as a source of comfort and hope in dark times. Tattoo artist here. I just want to chime in and say this, tattoos are a powerful tool for healing, for sure. But we aren't therapists. I get to know a lot of my clients over the years, and we tell each other about our traumas, and become good friends over time. But holy shit, do not use your tattooist as a therapist, especially on the first appointment, or through a long oversharing email. I care about my clients, but I am not prepared emotionally for them to blast me with their trauma right out of the gate. Graphic details of death, loss, abuse, assault. Buddy, I just met you. I have no training to be able to handle this internally, nor to help you in the way that a professional can. Oftentimes therapy costs about as much as a tattoo, and while it's less cool, it might be more helpful in the long run.
Oh.
Removed.